Hey everyone, I wanted to give you a short encouragement from my home to yours. Psalms 51 starts a slew of psalms all by David. And 51 is him confessing his own sin. But after that, Psalm 52 to 59 has a very different tone, and it's more looking at others and the hurt and pain that they've caused him, or David in situations where he's in danger. He often writes about his enemies. Now, some of these were told what's happening in that overline of the psalm, like this is when David has trained assassins waiting outside his home, or this is when David was on the run and he couldn't hide in this home or in that home, or when David fled into a cave, or when David was seized by the Philistines. David was having a lot of troubles when he wrote these. Some of them were not told when they happened, but they still have these themes of like the enemies of God and the wicked that are hurting his people, and the enemies of David and what they're saying or what they're doing. And through these, some of these are tough. David says some of his most interesting poetic but also harshest things about some of these people. And Psalm 58 is one that sticks out to me. He says that his enemies, they're like a cobra that its sense of hearing is gone. And so even though a charmer tries to get them to do certain things, they're not going to do it the right way. He says, God, would you just break the teeth in their mouths, break the fangs off of these lions? And he first was like, may they melt away like snails. You've ever seen snails melt? Or near the end of the psalm, he talks about, may the righteous wash their feet in the blood of these enemies. Pretty harsh stuff. What are we to make of that? Well, for one, consider who is writing and consider the situations, right? Like when David's on the run, I just was out for a run, and I'm doing that for fun and for exercise. David was on the run because people are trying to kill him. David is writing himself as a soldier about other people who are soldiers that are literally trying to kill him. So I at least give a little bit of realization that I might be praying differently as well if I had that sort of a situation. It's very different to say, oh, well, how I should pray for someone who said something mean to me in the grocery store versus someone who's trying to poison me, right? Like, you're going to have a different response. So some of my prayers might be different if that was happening to me, too. He'd seen these and he was living them. And another thing I think that's worthwhile considering is that in these, he's willing to talk to God about his anger. And he's willing to be honest and forthright. It doesn't mean that everything that David said was the right way to go about it. And there's plenty of other places where we're told about how we should act and react to people who set themselves as our enemies in the Bible. But to be able to talk to God and be honest, this is how I'm feeling about it, and this is what I wish would be happening. You don't have to hide the truth from God, but take it to him and work with him. And a third important point that I think I see from Psalm 58 is it's interesting how it has these two different bookends. At the beginning of the psalm, he says, are there any of you who judge rightly? Are there any of you humans who really judge rightly? And it's one of those questions that he knows his answer is no, they're not. A few chapters before that, he said there's none who do good. There's no one who does right. So he has this judge, or these judges, human judges at the beginning, saying they don't really do justice correctly. But at the end of Psalm 58, he brings in another judge. He says there is a God who will judge on this earth. And so my recommendation is this: with your anger, be willing to go to God and be willing to let him be the judge at the end of the day. Know that you can trust him to be more just than you or I or our enemies would be.